Phil, it's the biggest game of the year. It's the biggest game of the year. And we've said that a couple times, and it's been true each time. But these games
matter.
They just grow bigger here the more that you do win.
Yeah, and when you're sitting at 8-5 and not like the Buffalo Bills where you've only lost 2 games, every game does matter. And when you have other teams not helping you out, cough, cough, the Bengals, the Chiefs beating the Chargers, that helped us out a little bit. But just when you have to have other teams help you out and they're not doing their part, you have to win games no matter what.
Yeah. Here's the playoff probability for the Denver Broncos. Right now, the Broncos currently have a 72% chance to make the postseason. As a reminder, after the first 2 weeks of the year, the Denver Broncos had a 1% chance to make the playoffs.
Man, that's amazing.
It really is.
A 1% chance to make the playoffs. Now you're at 72. 4 games left. Everything out in front of you. You're going to be favored in every single one except for maybe the Chiefs.
Well, the Chiefs, I mean, with the Bills losing on Sunday and the Chiefs squeaking by with that doink, I mean, it just makes it all the more likely that the Chiefs could be resting their starters.
So you might be favored in all 4 games moving forward. Now, that doesn't mean anything. You still have to play, and you're dealing with the NFL. Anything is possible. But you can win all 4 of these games. You can win out.
Yeah. No, they really could. They really could. I don't think they'll be favored in LA against the Chargers. Chargers, same record, have already beat the Broncos. They'll be at home. But we'll wait and see. That's going to be close. That's going to be close because, Bronco fans take over that stadium anyway. So, and it was these LA teams, the Rams, the Chargers, there's just so many transplants that live in those cities, and they don't have, we got a bunch of transplants here, but the Rams and the Chargers don't have the roots of a team like the Denver Broncos.
Well, yeah, they're just confused. They don't know who to cheer for. Do they cheer for the Rams? Do they cheer for the Chargers? We know here who we're going to cheer for. And even if you're new to town, you know who to cheer for. The Denver Broncos, baby.
Yeah. It was amazing seeing that the Rams-Bills game. The Bills just took over the whole stadium. The same way that Broncos country will take over, SoFi there in Los Angeles in 2 weeks. That'll be in prime time now on Thursday night?
Thursday night football.
Thursday night. That's fantastic, man. So the Broncos, after having it was 7% chance before the season started, a 3% chance after the week 1 loss, a 1% chance after starting 0-2. They have a 72% likelihood to make the postseason, according to the New York Times, working with The Athletic in their playoff simulator, simulating the NFL season after collecting every data point known to man 100,000 times. If they can beat the Colts, Phil, the Broncos' playoff probability with no one else winning or losing, just in a vacuum, the Broncos' playoff probability would spike to 88%.
So I don't want to say you're a shoo-in, like you're gonna be in, but if you can beat the Colts, you should be in.
Yeah. If they beat the Colts, there's a scenario where they can lose their last 3 games and still make the playoffs.
The Miami Dolphins, I think, have to lose.
Yes.
We beat the Colts, and
Yes.
Miami loses next week.
You're on it.
We're in.
You're on it. You're on it. That's you hit the nail right on the head. That's exactly right. Should the Broncos lose at home to the Colts, and this is how fickle this is, 88% likelihood you make the postseason in a win. If the Broncos lost, the playoff probability would take a nosedive below 50% to 44%.
Wow. That's a dramatic change if you lose.
It's huge.
And see, this is why every game moving forward is important. But this game specifically against the Colts, Sunday, you have to win a game. This game. It's a playoff game. And the Colts feel the same way. If the Colts lose this game, they're out of it. If the Colts win, their playoff hopes are still alive. Wow. So we're playing a playoff game 4 weeks before the playoffs start.
Yes.
That's insane.
It is the closest thing to a regular season playoff game outside of like a win or go home scenario.
Yeah, I was part of that, and that's not fun against the Miami when I was with the Dolphins.
Yes.
We had to win 6 straight. That's stressful.
You guys almost did it.
And we almost did it. Our defense was playing well. Tua did a good job of buying in at the end of the year. We were able to run the ball just enough. And, yeah, we almost pulled it off. We ended up getting beat by the Tennessee Titans. We were 2 games away from pulling it off. We had the Tennessee Titans and we had the New England Patriots. Tennessee, it was very cold. And like I always say, just like I do, Tua does not play well in the cold. And we weren't able to get the win. So that last game, we beat the New England Patriots, but it didn't matter. We went 9-8, had a winning season.
That is so crazy.
It still didn't matter.
We just talked about this scenario a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And I forget why we were talking about it, but it was the Jags the last week of the season
against the
playing
Colts.
the Colts.
Yeah.
And the Colts were not good. And the Jags were a win-and-you're-in scenario with Trevor Lawrence and all that stuff. It was in Jacksonville. And they blew it. But outside of scenarios like that, this is the closest thing to a playoff game that you're going to get in the regular season. You win, your probability goes to 88%. What's half of 88%? Exactly half of 88%. It's 44%. And that's what it will go to in a loss. Pretty dramatic, man. Pretty dramatic.
It really is. This is where coaching comes to play. Who has the better coach? Who has the better coaching staff? Who has the better defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator? Who has the better head coach? And I'm happy to say we do. We do. And if this is a playoff game scenario where you have to base all right, if I'm going into a playoff game, what coach does a good job in the playoffs? Sean Payton does. Sean Payton's 9-8 in the playoffs in his career. I'm banking on Sean Payton to come up with a great game plan against the Indianapolis Colts because that's what he does when it matters the most. I'm excited for this game, y'all.
Me too.
This is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, and if you're not excited about it, you don't have a pulse. There's a lot on the line this weekend, and I love that. When you just compare, and let's just go the old school, no nuance, reduced down to its simplest form. Who's got the better coach?
Yeah.
Who's got the better quarterback? Sean Payton over Shane Steichen and Bo Nix over Anthony Richardson. But Anthony Richardson is so talented that and in any given week, and I shouldn't say any given, maybe man, we're still gathering information on him, so I don't want to put my foot in my mouth. But I'll tell you this. I watched that young man play, what was it, 3 weeks ago?
Well, he's sporadic. You don't know what you're going to get from him, like you said. I know you don't want to say nothing bad about Anthony Richardson, but explain to me or show me why we should fear Anthony Richardson more than we would fear someone like Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston's the same kind of quarterback in a sense, not the styles, but when it comes to being sporadic and saying, hey, who are you going to get?
Boom or bust.
Boom or bust. I'm taking my chances with someone like Anthony Richardson and going against him for us to win a game. You don't know what you're going to get out of Anthony Richardson. You don't know what you're going to get out of that offensive line and Jonathan Taylor. Is Jonathan Taylor healthy? Is he ready to play? Are the receivers healthy? Those are everything that comes to play. And I got to play with a lot of those players.
Yeah,
a lot of them were my teammates.
I'm going to pick your brain about those guys later this week.
And let me tell you this. Jonathan Taylor's the real deal. But his biggest thing is, can he stay healthy enough? Is he healthy going into this game? We don't know. But I'm taking my chances with Bo Nix, Sean Payton, and I'm definitely taking my chances with the defense we have. The top 5 defense in the NFL. Vance is doing a great job. Coach Vance Joseph is doing a great job. I'm taking someone like Vance Joseph in our defense over Anthony Richardson and whatever he has going on over there.
Yeah.
Let's roll, baby. Let's both.
Well, hopefully even if they play their best, the Broncos' best is better than their best. But I remember it was about 3 weeks ago, and I'm watching Anthony Richardson play in New York against the Jets. Man, the kid looked like a baller. He looked like a ball throwing it too. Completed nearly 70% of his passes for almost 300 yards, touchdown, no picks, ran for not one but 2 touchdowns, bowling people over. And when he's on the weeks that he's booming like that, and there's not a lot to draw from, I'm not going to manufacture fear about Anthony Richardson. But the weeks he is booming and not busting, he gives the Colts a great chance to win.
He definitely does.
It's just such a high variance player. The swings back and forth. He's a young player. He hasn't played a lot of football.
Well, guys, he's been benched for old man Joe Flacco.
Yep.
And so it tells you right there that Anthony Richardson's not the most consistent player right now. He's a young, talented player, but that can only get you so far. And if you make a mistake against our defense, we will make you pay. Sean will make you pay. Bo Nix is doing a great job, and he will make you pay. And so for Anthony Richardson, if he is not firing on all cylinders and he's not doing the right things, he's going to fall into Vance's trap because Vance likes to scheme up. Vance likes to disguise his defense. And when you have someone like Nick Bonito who's on fire coming off the edge, Jonathan Cooper who's on fire coming off the edge, my boy Zach Allen anchoring that defense, and you had the best cornerback in the league, man,
yeah,
I'd be scared if I was Anthony Richardson.
Well, he's only started 13 games in his NFL career in 2 years, which, by the way, is more games than he started in college.
That's wild.
I think it was 12 starts for Anthony Richardson at Florida. That's it. So between his so what are we talking about? He has started 20. This is crazy. Anthony Richardson has started 25 games at quarterback since high school, and he's going to play in Mile High this weekend.
And he was a top drafted quarterback.
He was.
And they're not doing him right because they decided to bench him. They probably should have went back and read those stats you just said. He's young. He needs the time to develop. That's something that Sean Payton was like, I'm not messing around with. That's something that I was kind of like, hey, maybe do we kind of ease Bo into? And you were like, no, if we're going to do it, let's do it. Sean had that exact same mentality as you. It's like, let's do it. Throw him into the fire. Let him make his mistakes. And it's paying off for us.
Yeah.
The Colts made the mistake by kind of going back and forth with Anthony Richardson. So now he's in his head. It's like, if I make a mistake, I may be benched. So I may not be as aggressive as I want to be. And so he starts to take the dump offs. He starts to kind of second guess himself. That's great for our defense.
Well, he's played better since he's come back in. You know, I'll give him that. But that's crazy that he's starting his 26th game ever in Mile High since high school. 12 games in college, 12 games at Florida, and 13 games in the NFL over the last 2 seasons. And you want to know what, man? You know, Anthony Richardson, you know who he should thank? And maybe he'll turn out to be a great player. But he should thank the draft process. He should thank the combine.
I like this.
When you watched him at Florida, he was so unpolished. And there was some moments there. I remember he had a game early in the year, I think against LSU maybe, where he was going crazy. He was like eluding he was like eluding like 7 different tacklers and finding a guy in the back of the end zone. But like he was so unpolished. You know how many touchdowns he threw in college? 17 in terms of his final year. He would like come in and mop up duty when he was a freshman and redshirt freshman. 17 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. The guy was a top 10 draft pick.
Yeah.
Because when they started to measure him out and have him run fast, the tangibles, the measurables, he was just like, this kid is an absolute freakazoid.
Well, we're fixing to find out.
Yeah.
We're fixing to find out how much of a freak Anthony Richardson is, because I know he's going to have a tall, tough task against our defense, and Sean Payton is going to do his job because he's going to take it as a playoff game. And that's what I love most about this situation. This is more of that win or go home scenario. I know it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, not technically.
But you said if we lose this game, our chances of making the playoffs goes down to 44%. That makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, and really it should as a Bronco fan, because you give all that equity back that you've earned up here over, just the last month alone with a 3-game win streak over the Falcons, Raiders, and Browns. You'll give it back. It'll go back under 50% should they lose this weekend. I don't think they're going to lose. I really don't. I trust Sean coming off the bye. Now Colts are coming off the bye as well. But this is where coaching should shine, to your point. And if Sean Payton, if they win this game this weekend, and dare I say win 3 of the next 4 games, and the Broncos are an 11-win team, Sean Payton is going to be squarely in the Coach of the Year conversation, Phil.
He should already be in and I think he is. I think he's in the conversation of Coach of the Year. How are you not? When everybody dogged you as, hey, you have the 32nd best team. You have a rookie quarterback that nobody else wanted. He was picked 6, right? He was number 12?
Yep.
Number 12 pick in the NFL draft. Sean Payton was the only guy that said, hey, I like Bo Nix, and I feel like he'll fit the system and we can do well. And guess what? We're doing well. We don't have all the weapons that some of these teams have, but we're able to do some of the things that some of these teams are not doing, and that's winning games.
Well, by the odds in terms of Coach of the Year, and you're right, he is in the conversation right now. Dan Campbell is favored to win the award. He is currently minus 175, meaning that if you wanted to make $100 on Dan Campbell winning that award, you would have to right now bet $175 to win that 100. That's called being in minus money. There's not a lot of money to be made there because he's such a favorite. After Dan Campbell, it's Kevin O'Connell at plus 400. $100 on Kevin O'Connell would win you $400. Mike Tomlin is then next at plus 500. $100 bet on Mike Tomlin would win you $500, and then it's Sean Payton at plus 750. So $100 bet on Sean would net you $750. So he's 1, 2, 3, 4th, the fourth most likely candidate right now as we sit.
You're a betting man. You like to throw bets out there. I think you threw a bet out there at Travis Hunter.
Yep. October 1st at 5 to 1
as well.
Yep. Bo Nix. Yep. Absolutely. Rookie of the year.
What about Sean?
So I did bet this before the year started at 20 to 1.
Okay.
Because of the scenario that you just kind of laid out. Rookie quarterback, a roster ranked 32nd in the worst cap hit in NFL history. This award is about telling a story.
Yeah.
Like, what are you overcoming? Did you hear Kenny Dillingham this past week when he was asked about winning Big 12 Coach of the Year? He's like, it really means nothing to me, which I didn't like that response, to be quite honest with you. He's
pulling out the Jokic book.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean nothing to him.
Yeah, he's like, it means nothing. Basically, that award is you've overcome the most award. And if you were to just kind of subscribe to that logic, who among that group would overcome more than what Sean, like Dan Campbell? Dan Campbell's a great coach. Big fan. But has Dan Campbell overcome more this year? Not in the arc of his entire time in Detroit. This is an award for this year.
Yeah.
Has Dan Campbell overcome more than Sean Payton? Should Sean Payton have this team at 11 wins and in the playoffs?
Well, see, that's where it kind of gets sticky because Dan Campbell was in a similar situation as Sean Payton. When Dan Campbell was building his roster up, it wasn't just like overnight he was winning games, and he still didn't get the nod to win it. And so I think they're kind of doing what James Palmer says with the Pro Bowl votes. It's like people are trying to play catch up. You may not get, like, you might be for Nick Bonito. He might not be a Pro Bowler this year because people don't know about Nick Bonito like they should. But in a couple years from now, he's going to definitely be in all the time because he's making.
Yeah, like the awareness is going to be much greater.
Everybody knows about Nick, so maybe the award's like that in certain situations. Now, Sean's different because he's been around.
Right.
He's been around. He's done it before. He's won Super Bowls. And you just put together a great resume and a great reason why he should win it. But does he win it? Like, do you truly think he should win it?
Yes.
If he gets to the playoffs?
Yes. And if they win 3 of their last 4 and you're an 11-win team.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell's time to win the award was last year. They were 12-5.
Yeah.
Kevin Stefanski ended up winning it. But Dan Campbell's story for this year would not be better than Sean Payton's if the Broncos win 3 of their last 4 games and are an 11-win team in the postseason with a rookie quarterback. And I'm just repeating you from a few minutes ago, but the 6th quarterback taken in the draft, the least thought of, the quarterback who Todd McShay said half of the league had a 2nd-round grade. You're in the worst dead cap situation in the history of the sport, and your roster is the least thought of in the entire sport.
Well, see, now let me have some pushback, right? Let me just put some pushback for this scenario. You just said like the dead cap and all that, which is correct. But who's the person to do that to himself?
Sean.
Sean did that to himself. I'm just thinking how maybe some of these voters are going to be thinking. Sean did that to himself. Now, you have a situation here with Cortland Sutton. Do you truly think Sean really wanted Cortland? If Sean wanted Cortland, Sean would have tried to find a way to pay Cortland earlier. It just didn't pan out. That's why Court was out of here. Court really wanted to be traded. Now, Sean didn't want to make a drastic decision because of the cap hell, of not having some of the weapons around, and you just got rid of Jerry Jeudy. But I don't know how much Sean was in on Court. Court's having a phenomenal year.
Yeah.
I don't think Sean believed that Court was going to have a year like this. All right? You get rid of Tim Patrick. Do you truly believe that Sean believed in Vele? Sean didn't believe in Bailey.
Nope.
Sean believed in Troy Franklin.
Yep.
That's why Sean drafted Troy and not drafted Vele 7th. I think that was more of a George thing, like, hey,
of course.
Can I have a pick kind of scenario?
Dude, Vele was a healthy scratch at the start of the year.
But we're talking about players that are helping this out. Yes, Sean did hit on Bo, and he did a great job.
Really did.
But then some of the other news is surfacing, and people were giving me backlash on the Vance Joseph situation. And asking, everybody was like, well, we should be thanking Sean for keeping Vance. Now, we don't truly know if Sean was going to keep Vance or not, or if he wanted to keep Vance or not. But one of the biggest reasons why the Denver Broncos are winning is because of that defense.
Sure.
I think sometimes people are going to view Sean is not just as a head coach because Sean is also offensive coordinator. I think that they go hand in hand, and I think that's why some of these voters or whoever's voting up there is going to kind of look at this and say, does Sean end up winning this award? He should be up for it. But does he win it? I don't know.
Well, I don't know either.
I'm just putting the pushback of what some people are probably thinking.
Yeah. And look, whether he technically wins the award or not, that's a hard award to win. It's like the Heisman. It's like you got these guys having great seasons. It's just such a hard award to win.
Yeah.
If he is in the conversation at the end of December, that'll just be all I need to know about where the Broncos are and where they're heading.
I like it.